Sie hören Sport und Musik.
Das Spiel ist aus! Deutschland ist Weltmeister!
Mario Götze! Mario Götze!
Tonight, whether you call it football, or soccer, a German American and a German in America dare to call it Fußball. German foosball from an American point of view. Let's add some buns to that hamburger and join them for the Schnitzel Boys Deutschland Hour.
Yellow. Hello, guten Tag. The Germany Hour will zoom out by itself. Yes, it does. Germany Hour. Okay, Bjorn is not with me. I am doing another solo show, flying solo, because we couldn't miss this. Bjorn is in the mountains of Utah, night skiing off into the horizon, whatever it is he's doing. Probably beautiful. Sundance Film Festival is happening in Utah right now, and friends in Utah, but I'm not in Utah. I'm in Los Angeles in my bunker, going solo, manifesto style. Hopefully, for those of you in the chat, talk to me. I need you. Fuel
Deutschland
me.
Hour.
What the? Oh, hold on. Sorry, see, technical difficulties. I had it playing. It was on autoplay. Okay. Deutschland Tower. Okay, I'm here. We couldn't schedule another time, so I figured I'd go solo on our usual time because we have an important podcast today. We've waited a long time. And last year, it seemed like it was real. It seemed like Borussia Dortmund was going to finally win another title. But they choked last weekend, and Mainz took 2 points from them, and Bayern München were able to claim an 11th crown. On that same day, or around that time, Oliver Kahn and Hasan Salihamidzic, Brazzo, were fired for some reason, even though they won a title. And the upper brass, the board, said even if we won a title, we wanted to make the change. Maybe it was related to fire Julian Nagelsmann and replacing with Thomas Tuchel. The Sadio Mane transfer. I don't know what was going on exactly, but they were putting a lot of pressure on Kahn and Blatzo, and the fans weren't happy, because it wasn't the prime that Bayern München have been in, and I understand that. But under Blatzo and under Kahn, Bayern München had a perfect record, as in they won titles every year. They didn't win every game. It wasn't like maybe it's not a perfect record. Maybe I'm using the term wrong. But they would have titles every year, including a Champions League title under COVID. I'm pretty sure Brazzo was there. I imagine Kahn was there. Could be wrong about that. But every year they won titles. And then Uli Hoeneß and his, wizardry was like, yeah, we're going to get rid of you guys and bring in these non-sports execs from Adidas and whatnot. Get this club right. Anywho, I bring that up because now here we are, week 18 in the Bundesliga. 16 match days to go, so just under half a season left. And Bayern München are out of the German Cup, thanks to Saarbrücken. And they are now 7 points off the title, off the top. Now, granted, they have a game in hand. They're going to play Union Berlin on Wednesday. Let's pretend they get 3 points. That puts them 4 points off the top. And that puts Leverkusen in a prime position to actually go for it. So there's still plenty of season left. But hold on to your butts, because the title race is happening. And for us Bundesliga fans, that is a gift. We had one last year, And we have one again this year featuring two different teams, or featuring one different team, Bayer Leverkusen replacing Borussia Dortmund. And we got Bayern München and Bayer Leverkusen. Bayer Leverkusen on top of the table, going for it, and Bayern München second table. Right behind, they lost to Werder Bremen over the weekend. Werder Bremen won 1-0. And it's just indicative of Bayern München not being on full cylinders. They held the ball. They created plenty of chances, but they just couldn't finish it. Werder Bremen got the win. Good on Bremen. So that was for the shock score over the weekend. Bayern München dropping points to Werder Bremen, all three. And as far as the other matches are going, Bjorn definitely wanted me to bring up VfL Bochum. They beat Stuttgart, which leads to sort of not my second topic. The VfB Stuttgart Traumland, the Dreamland, their Cinderella run is crackling. With an injured Guirassy, they lost a lot of their firepower, and I think they lost Deniz Undav was sort of the replacement. And VfB Stuttgart, it's only been a couple of weeks, a couple of rounds, but VfB Stuttgart seemingly are slowly going back to find their place, which they've come to know over the last few seasons. And they are going to start dropping down over the next half of the season. Perhaps I could be wrong. VfB Stuttgart are still playing great football theoretically, but I think they're going to start dropping some points. But by the end of the season, they still may have Europe on the horizon. Maybe a Champions League, maybe Europa League. And that's still a big get for that club. So good on you guys, Stuttgart. Sorry you guys lost a couple games. But I just don't see you getting your groove back anytime soon. Not with Guirassy injured. By Leverkusen, on the other hand, they seem to still be cooking with gas. They beat RB Leipzig over the weekend on the Spitzspiel, the top duel, the Topspiel, the Spitzenduell, whatever you want to call it. RB Leipzig, Leverkusen went to Leipzig, and with a last-minute winner, beat RB Leipzig 3-2. As RB Leipzig, overall season lacks a little bit of punch. But Bayer Leverkusen doesn't lack any punch. They're there. They believe it. The spirit's there. They're playing good soccer, and they're winning. Bayer Leverkusen were always the bridesmaid and never the bride. Never seen a club win so many silver medals. Michael Ballack, the great German player of his generation, of the early aughts to, early aughts to the 2010, up till 2010 World Cup. Michael Ballack has so many silver medals under his belt. 2002, he won a silver medal with Germany. Bayer Leverkusen, he got second place, I think, in all three tournaments in one season. I think when he was with Chelsea, he got a lot of second places. He got a silver medal Euro 2008, his last major tournament, I believe, because I don't think he was featured in Euro 2012. Could be wrong about that. The dude's got silver medals, man. Silver medals up the wazoo. He did spend time at Bayern. I do believe he has some titles and with Bayern and Chelsea to show for. So it's nothing. It's not only silver medals, but it's a lot of that. And he was the poster boy for the Bayer Leverkusen of the early aughts. And that just goes to show you that Bayer Leverkusen has been close, but no cigar. I'm trying to think how many titles Bayer Leverkusen has won. The Bayer Leverkusen site here. Bundesliga runners-up, 97, 99, 2000, 2002, and 2011. They've been runners-up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, but they have never won it. Is this their year? Are they finally going to be the bride? Or are they the bridesmaid? They are the winners of the 1993 DFB Pokal, runners-up in 2002. in 2009 and in 2020. They won it once. So they do have a domestic cup title, but they never won the Bundesliga. And I'll be honest with you, it's refreshing. We need other teams getting in there. So I, for one, would not lose too much sleep over Bayer Leverkusen finally winning the title. I think it'd be a good story. I think it's great how they're doing it under Xabi Alonso, proving himself to be the next hip cat coach in Europe. And, with Victor Boniface and all the guys they got there, and Florian Wirtz back in form. God knows we need German players in form, winning titles, winning games. So good on them. Good on Bayer Leverkusen. This might be a little soon. So don't take the champagne out yet. But it seems like there's something special brewing at Leverkusen. Now, Heidenheim tied Wolfsburg. Both would be probably peed at that. But Heidenheim hosted, played a good game. Darmstadt tied Frankfurt in the last minute equalizer. The local derby, good for Darmstadt. Exciting for them. And like a derby, the playbook goes out the window. Freiburg beat Hoffenheim at home, even down a man. Fortunately for Pellegrino Matarazzo and his men, they couldn't get a point out of that. And then Augsburg beat Gladbach in Gladbach, which is a great result for Augsburg. And that sort of summarizes the scores, except for Dortmund-Köln. Dortmund beat Köln 4-0. So far, so good for Dortmund. Talked about this last week, but in the offseason, Dortmund strengthened themselves with a couple new coaching additions. Now, I don't know if that's this positive effect. It might be. More the merrier. Jadon Sancho seemed to plug right back in. He's back to playing football where he loves playing football, so good for him. And Borussia Dortmund have two pretty solid wins to start off the new year. Maybe Borussia Dortmund will go on a tear. Maybe take Stuttgart's third spot at some point. But good on Borussia Dortmund. Gio Reyna got a hockey assist on the fourth goal right there at the end. Rumors, I think, are still him heading over to, Real Sociedad or somewhere. So we still keep our eyes on that. But as of right now, he's still on a team. He's still getting some minutes. But with Jadon Sancho, his minutes are probably going to get a little bit more limited. The other big thing of note was VfL Bochum and Stuttgart. Despite the big win, there was a huge delay because Stuttgart put some banner that blocked an exit. And the Stuttgart fans, who were away fans, squared off with the Bochum security, and it was a whole rigmarole of this and that, and they had to wait 40 minutes. Plus, people are throwing chocolate coins on the field, and I don't think this is the Bochum-Stuttgart game. This is elsewhere. I'm trying to think. Maybe it was Leipzig? No. Bayern Werder? Probably all over because of the protests and the response to the new developments of the foreign investment into the marketing arm, which we've also talked about before. Who are we here in comments? Yes, David Richa. How you doing, bud? Thank you for being here. Good on Bremen indeed. Now remind me, you're a Köln supporter, right? Köln had a pretty solid first half against Borussia Dortmund over the weekend. The Borussia Dortmund were able to finish it off there towards the end. You guys are under your new coach, Timo Schulz. How do you feel? Give me early impressions on Timo Schulz. Talk to me. What's going to happen with Köln? How are they doing? Let's take a look here where they are in the standings. Second to last, tied in points with Darmstadt. And then tied in points with Mainz, but Mainz is a game in hand with Union Berlin just right above that. And then there's a little gap. I'm sure Bjorn's happy about that, to VfL Bochum. Now, Union Berlin, oh yeah, how about this? Okay. Union Berlin and Mainz on Friday was postponed due to weather because it's snowing up a storm in Germany. And Union Berlin were in a postponed game last fall as well. So they're playing against Bayern München on Wednesday, And then the report came out that Union Berlin and Mainz will play their game between match day 20 and 21, so in a couple weeks. So Union Berlin have 2 games in hand. This is not very like the Bundesliga to have this unbalanced of a schedule. It's common in England, but not in Germany, baby. And I, for one, don't love it, but they got to do what they got to do. You know, games got to get canceled because of weather. They need to put it somewhere else in the date, so that's what they're doing. And Union Berlin happened to be the victim of both, or is a blessing in disguise? Is this extra time? They're essentially getting more time to do their homework than other Bundesliga clubs are, because they still have 2 big games left, and they have a little bit more time to gel as a team before they go off and do it. Their last 5 results are tie, win, loss, win, tie. So a grab bag of all, but definitely more promising than Mainz, Köln, and Darmstadt. As Darmstadt have a tie, loss, loss. Köln, loss, tie, loss, tie. Mainz, tie, loss. You know, the bottom clubs are struggling. So if you have thoughts on Timo Schultz, let me know. Daniel Young, he, him, his. How you doing, bud? Joining us in the chat. David Riccio, correct. Things are rough for Köln these days. Don't know where the goals will come from. Yeah. Maybe you guys should have gotten your hands on a Brandon Vasquez from MLS. Who knows? Daniel Young, he, him, his. Hello. Union Berlin doing well. Yeah, mixed grab. Definitely better than they started off. Something crazy was going on. And under this new coach, they seem to have settled a little bit better. But yeah, got a big game against Bayern, you know, and they are looking at relegation right down the barrel. They're right above it. Because even though they are 6 points behind VfL Bochum, they're 2 games in hand. Now, it might be generous to say that they're going to win 6 points, especially with Bayern on Wednesday. Bayern bouncing back from a loss. But if they were to get 6 points, then they'd be tied with Bochum in 14th place. Or 15th. Everyone look at that. Sancho looks happy again. That is true. Sancho's plugging right in. So as you know, I'm going solo. I got David and Daniel here in the chat with me and anybody else. So that pretty much sums up the Bundesliga. Bayer Leverkusen early, knock on wood, is looking like they might shake it up this year. There might be something special brewing over in Leverkusen. Borussia Dortmund, solid second half of the season so far. Bayern München is still Bayern München. They're big, they're bad. I was at the Bayern München-Darmstadt game when they won 8-0, and Harry Kane scored a hat trick, including the goal from half line. Great game. But then they just, they're just not putting it together sometimes. There's like 90% there. That's what I've been feeling with Bayern München. Now, I'm spoiled because under Jupp Heynckes, in a lot of ways under Pep Guardiola, Bayern München were like an invincible team. That year in 2012 when they won the treble, they weren't going to lose to anybody. They were they were the world's best team. It was such a good season. And what did I say, 2020? They did have a great treble year, I think, in 2020. They were amazing then, too. I'm talking about the Jupp Heynckes year, 2012? 2012, perhaps? 2012, 2013? But Bayern Munich, overall, under Jupp Heynckes, under Pep Guardiola, those years, they were just an invincible team, seemingly. And we're just not seeing it these days. We're just seeing a little bit differently, a little in transition. Maybe some of the older guys like Thomas Muller, they had to find their role. And some of the younger guys are a little too young. Musiala's a little too young. Serge Gnabry's way off form. I don't know what happened to that guy. And I think as a puzzle, Manuel Neuer is, with his injuries. I think as a puzzle, a few years ago, Bayern Munich fit pretty perfectly. And these days, it's less perfect. Now, Harry Kane has plugged in that gap up top. He's an amazing player. But you can't be overly reliant on one guy. Let's say he's injured. Let's say to leave or something. Then what? So, I don't know. I think they're still figuring stuff out at Bayern. Eric, we'll see how Eric Dyer fits there. And, maybe Eric Dyer is all they need. I don't know. We'll see. We will see. There was an interesting interview with Thomas Tuchel and Archie Rintat, the ESPN FC German correspondent. And Archie asked him, do you feel you have more respect in England than here in Germany? And Tuchel sort of thought about it and laughed, and he said, yeah. And I think it's a good question. I think it's a solid answer. Because I think in Germany, he hasn't super-duper proven himself super much yet, the way he has proven himself elsewhere. And I think there's a lot of eyes on him. So he seems to be handling the pressure okay. And this Bayern Munich train is just a curious little train. I am curious if they're going to end the season with any titles at all. You know, if I had to put money on it now, I'd say no. I think this might be the first season Bayern Munich ends without a title in, I want to say 11 years, but they might have won the cup back then. Who knows how long was last time they ended a season with no titles? Maybe it was the Jurgen Klinsmann year. All the way back to the Jurgen Klinsmann year. I think that was 2009, 2008, 2009, something like that. My memory can fail me sometimes. Anyway, so I bring that up. Union Berlin, maybe you're looking up from Daniel Young. Because Bjorn's not here, I'm also a little under the weather. Not in the specifics, but a little under the weather. This has sort of been an emergency pod because we can't ignore this. We got to talk about the fact that Bayern dropped points and Borussia Dortmund are having a good, solid second half of the season. And Bayer Leverkusen might be the real deal. Now, I don't want to put the Stützle boys curse on it. So I hope I didn't. So who knows? Could be Bayern, could be Bayer. Dortmund could swoop in. Maybe Leipzig can turn it on. Maybe Stuttgart can stop falling. We'll see. There is no Champions League this week, I don't think, right? Let me just double check when the Champions League starts up again. That is on February, mid-February. We have Lazio versus Bayern on February 14th. Leipzig hosting Madrid on February 13th. And PSV and Dortmund on February 20th. Some fun games. But we got a little bit of ways. Right now, we're just enjoying the Bundesliga and the DFB Pokal. MLS still in preseason. You know, a little this, a little that. Leo Messi is on his big super global tour. New York Red Bulls signed Emil Forsberg. Preseason starting. There's a young, exciting NYCFC Academy product duking it out in Eastern Europe right now, linked to bigger clubs, I believe. I love stories like that when academies create players. So kudos on you NYCFC guys. Want to give you guys respect. Create those players. All right. This is going to be our shortest pod. Something we've never done before. So on Schnitzel night, it's a brief Schnitzel night. This is a more emergency pod. And unless there's anything else you really want me to dive into, enjoy your Monday night. And I will see you next week with Bjorn with the Cavalry. And I think we'll have more hotty-toddy topics to talk about then. So, how do we do this? I'm doing all the tech myself here. So I just want to say, have a good night. Tschüss. All right, I'm going to cancel that. Well done flying solo. Thank you, David. I just realized I missed a couple questions from Daniel Young. NYCFC is focused on developing players. What thoughts did they Cushing? I want to say that New York Red Bulls released a graph this week from their Facebook page that showed they only had 5 players from 25 to 29, handful of over 30s, including Emil Forsberg, and a whole bunch of youngsters. And I'm like, yeah, you're developing, and they're tied with NYCFC as the youngest team in MLS. So my thoughts on all that is just funny that in this whole league, New York City has 2 teams, both owned by a large corporate network and both focusing on youth. And although we'll always argue this is a contention for Red Bull and NYCFC fans, these clubs are set up to be pseudo-feeder clubs. I mean, it's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. So, developing players is very smart because we can't buy the biggest players in their prime. We're not Europe. the best players we could ever hope to have are ones we create ourselves. So good on NYCFC and New York Red Bulls for doing that. My thoughts on Nick Cushing are he's, I don't think he's going to last. I mean, it could be this great turnaround, but I mean, Bjorn, I think, is willing to give him more time. For me, I think you guys should have found a new coach in the offseason, some excitement. I don't know. So good luck with him. I just wanted to come in and answer that because I didn't want to ignore you, bud. All right. Anyway, good night, Jungs. Tschüss. Bis nächste Woche.